Noah, can you count for me how many O's there are?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, how many X's are there?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
How Many Snails? A Counting Book by Paul Giganti Jr. Pictures by Donald Cruz. I went walking and I wondered, how many clouds were there? How many clouds were big and fluffy? How many clouds were big and fluffy and gray? I went walking to the meadow and I wondered, how many flowers were there? How many flowers were yellow? How many flowers were yellow with black centers? I went walking to the lake and I wondered, how many fish were there? How many fish were red? How many fish were red and had their mouths open? I went walking to the garden and I wondered, how many snails were there? How many snails had striped shells? How many snails had striped shells and stuck their heads out? I went walking to the beach and I wondered, how many starfish were there? How many starfish had 5 arms? How many starfish had 5 arms and were on rocks? I went walking to the park and I wondered, how many dogs were there? How many dogs were spotted? How many dogs were spotted and had their tongues out? I went walking to the library and I wondered, how many books were there? How many books were tiny? How many books were tiny and had numbers on them? I went walking to the bakery and I wondered, how many cupcakes were there? How many cupcakes had white icing? How many cupcakes had white icing and candy sprinkles? I went walking to the toy store and I wondered, how many trucks were there? How many trucks were fire trucks? How many trucks were fire trucks and had ladders on them? I went walking at night and I wondered, how many stars were there? How many stars were bright? How many bright stars were shooting stars? I went walking to my bedroom, but I didn't wonder how many goodnight kisses I would get, because I knew. This book would be used in a kindergarten level for counting. This book uses counting to tell the number of objects, and also understand the relationship between numbers and quantities. In this book, we are given various objects and characteristics so that students can learn what to count. For example, there are many starfish that have 5 arms or more, and also starfish that are on the rocks. It also goes over counting to answer how many questions, as many as 20 things arranged in a line, in array, or in a scattered configuration. This worksheet has a good example. Count and circle the right numbers. The active teaching strategy that I used is the Illustrator Storytelling, where I illustrate a concept, idea, or principle with a real-life application, model, or case study. I use this video to show counting and also answering questions that start off with how many.